1959. 9 experienced hikers entered the Ural Mountains in Russia. None of them survived. What was discovered at their campsite still doesn't make sense. The group was led by Igor Dyatlov. They were experienced, well-prepared, and familiar with extreme winter conditions. This wasn't a reckless expedition. They had done this before. Their objective was simple: reach a mountain known as Kholat Syakhl, a name that roughly translates to the Mountain of the Dead, a name that, at the time, meant very little to them. The group set out in late January. They documented their journey along the way. Photos showed them laughing, hiking, moving steadily through deep snow. Nothing unusual. Nothing that suggested what was about to happen. Weeks passed, and the group never returned. No messages, no signals, no trace. So search teams were sent out. What they found wasn't just a tragedy. It was something far more unsettling. The hiker's tent had been cut open from the inside. Inside the tent, everything was still there. Boots, clothing, food, supplies, even their shoes left behind, in sub-zero temperatures. But the hikers themselves had fled into the freezing wilderness, barefoot. Investigators examined the tracks in the snow, and what they found didn't match panic. There was no sign of chaos, no sprinting, no struggle. They walked, single file, calmly, away from the tent and into the dark. The first bodies were found near the edge of a forest. They were underdressed and showed signs of hypothermia. It appeared they had tried to start a fire, a small attempt to survive the cold. But the others were found much farther away, deeper into the wilderness. One of them had a fractured skull. Another suffered severe chest trauma, the kind of injuries typically seen in high-impact accidents. But there were no external wounds, no bruising, no cuts, nothing to explain the force behind it. One of the hikers was missing their tongue, and part of her face had deteriorated. Some say it was natural decomposition. Others aren't convinced. There were no signs of a struggle, no evidence of another group, no footprints except their own. No clear explanation. As the investigation continued, another detail surfaced. Some of the clothing showed traces of radiation. Not enough to be immediately deadly, but enough to raise questions. What were they exposed to? And where did it come from? Over the years, many theories have been proposed. An avalanche, secret military testing, infrasound causing sudden panic, even the possibility of something unknown. Each explanation attempts to make sense of what happened, but none of them fully account for everything. Not the condition of the tent, not the injuries, not the radiation, not the behavior of the group. Perhaps the most unsettling part is how deliberate everything seemed. They didn't act like people running from danger. They acted like people leaving something behind. In 2020, Russian authorities officially closed the case. Their conclusion was a natural avalanche, a sudden collapse of snow, forcing the group to escape their tent. But that explanation still leaves gaps. Why cut the tent from the inside instead of using the entrance? Why leave without shoes? Why walk calmly into freezing darkness. And what caused the injuries? Because even today, more than 60 years later, when you look closely at the evidence, it feels like something is still missing.